Welcome back, NoDQ Galaxy, to a brand new edition of the NoDQ Review, number 170. And I am Virtue, being joined by this week's elite panel. Of course, Aaron Rift is here. Big Baller G is back, and his Pittsburgh Steelers are in the playoffs, at least for now.
For now.
And Dr. Jargo is back. What's up, gentlemen? Big G, what's going on?
Doing pretty good. Been busy with work. Been busy with the kiddies lately. They got fixed the other day, so we take care of them. Like you said, big weekend in football this coming weekend. I'm excited for that. So other than that, let's get this ball rolling, baby.
All righty. Good to have you here, and I know you are happy to be here.
Always.
Jargo, what's up, man?
Well, you know, it must have been the get your pet fixed week here at the NoDQ panel, because I got my puppy fixed this week. And so I Big Baller, I tell you what, I will trade you any day. I will take a fixed cat over a fixed puppy any day of the week. 43-pound dog walking around with a 3-foot cone on her head.
I saw that
very, very small house. It's good times here around the Jargo home.
Hey, just so the NoDQ Galaxy knows, there might be a video up of you and I talking about Roman Reigns and Okada and who is more over globally. And I might ask Aaron to post that on the channel just to see if you and I might have a debate over New Japan and WWE at some point this year. So
always happy to sit down and argue professional wrestling. I mean, discuss professional wrestling with Virtue.
Yeah, it's a good time. And of course, Aaron, what's going on?
I'm doing pretty well. Looking forward to the Royal Rumble, just over 2 weeks away. We're getting close to the beginning of WrestleMania season. It's been an interesting week. We got interesting topics, and I'm ready to get started with it. Let's get the ball rolling.
All right, well, we're going to kick it off with the Royal Rumble news. So if I heard this correct and read this correct, Mickie James has been announced to be in the Royal Rumble, and she is the current knockout. Are they still calling it the Knockouts championship?
Yeah,
so
right.
She's the Knockouts champion over on Impact. And we all know how she, you know, when she got released, the whole trash bag incident or whatnot. Well, she's going to get, I guess, her revenge by getting a payday being in the Royal Rumble. Also, the Bellas, the retired Bellas who were in the Hall of Fame, will also be making their appearance in the Royal Rumble. So let's go around the horn, Big G. What are your thoughts on that? And who else could we see, men or women, that we wouldn't normally see or think of here coming up to the Royal Rumble? Now, we don't have to predict who's going to win. We do that video later on.
With the predictions.
This Mickie James thing, and even the Bellas, we got to fill some spots.
So apparently the Forbidden Door is open in WWE now. Mickie James has worked for WWE, but she's working for another promotion right now. And we've seen that with AEW, in Ring of Honor and Impact and all them other companies. So it was kind of weird seeing them list all these people already, especially like the, quote unquote surprise entrance. But I get WWE, they're trying to get more people to tune in to the Royal Rumble. And, the Royal Rumble, you want to be surprised. And when I first saw this, I was like, really? They could have had Mickie James coming as a surprise. The Bellas, same thing. I think Lita's in the Rumble too. Who else is in the Rumble? That Summer Rae, and other. And then we heard there was stuff on NoDQ.com that Cameron and Melina might be showing up apparently in the Royal Rumble for the women.
You just spoiled it. Good job, Big G.
Oh, jeez, I'm sorry. Oh wait, did I spoil it? Oh. I'm not really sorry.
Well, remember, they still got to get to 30. So.
Right. So, I mean, we could see some NXT people come up. I can see Raquel Gonzalez coming up. Maybe Io Shirai. As far as the men's, that's really, really hard to, pick to see who else would be in the Rumble. I mean, you could have somebody else from AEW. I mean, we talked about it on Greg's show yesterday.
You think so? From AEW?
Yeah, from AEW. I mean, you got Jericho. Jericho has always been a WWE guy. I mean, he was on Broken Skull Sessions with Austin on Peacock. There's anything is possible. I mean, you could have somebody from Impact show up from the men's. I mean, it's really hard to say at this point, but I want to be surprised. I don't want nothing coming out on WWE. Oh, Impact champion Moose is going to be in the Royal Rumble or something like that. Keep it a surprise.
Corey Graves.
Corey Graves. He could. I know we're going to be talking about that later as a topic too, but I could see him being in the Royal Rumble too. So.
Now,
if they do the Corey Graves thing, are they going to do the JBL thing where he's actually commentating on the Rumble and then they like hit his music and he just gets up and gets in the ring?
Well, that's what Jerry Lawler did in
if you don't see him on the commentary table, for the Royal Rumble, something's up.
Yeah.
So
valid.
Now, Jargo, you know how Big G was naming off all these women that they've already announced? You think that's for a reason to get everybody off a certain scent? Like, what do you think here with all of this news for Royal Rumble and rumors?
I think the women's Rumble thing, a lot of it is PR. Because there's been so much conversation about how in the world are they going to fill 30 women for the Royal Rumble, that they were just like, oh, well, let's announce a bunch of names so that people would kind of get off of our backs. Mm-hmm. When it comes to the Bellas, Mickie James, there's a lot of these names that I just kind of write it off. Like the Summer Rae, they never treated seriously while she was on the main roster. Kelly's not going to win the Royal Rumble. Mickie James is not going to win the Royal Rumble. Spoiler alert. But Nikki Bella, yeah, maybe I could see it. Versus you were talking about how we did the Okada and Roman Reigns thing. One of the names I brought up that I said is more over than Roman Reigns on that show was Nikki Bella. When it comes to mainstream pop culture, Page 6, TMZ, Entertainment Tonight, they're going to talk about Brie Bella long before they talk about Roman Reigns.
Well, Roman doesn't have boobs.
Well, there is that.
I said it.
But it wouldn't surprise me that looking for star power, they need somebody opposite Charlotte. They need somebody opposite of Becky. I could see them putting Nikki Bella over inside of the Rumble, although I still think it's going to be Ronda Rousey as your winner. The Mickie James thing, though, kind of bugs me a little bit because this is one of those things where people wonder why the WWE gets away with some of the things that they do. And it's because of people like Mickie James coming back for a payday. Like I thought it was great that Ben Hameen made the suggestion that Mickie James should show up with all of her stuff in a trash bag and go into the locker room with all of her gear in a trash bag. Just as kind of an FU to the company. As long as talent keeps going back for these individual paydays, there's no accountability for the WWE and the way that they treat their talent. And that kind of bugs me a little bit.
Now, Jargo, would you say that maybe the biggest surprise in the men's match could be one of the losers of the title matches?
Oh yeah, we discussed this on the sit down with Big Vito, especially if you would see Seth Rollins take the Universal Championship from Roman Reigns. It would not surprise me to see Roman Reigns, whoever number one is in the Rumble, it's just some worthless jobber. Maybe it's James Ellsworth, right? James Ellsworth comes out number one. Roman comes out and murders him and says, no, I'm number one in the Rumble, and then goes on to win the damn thing. So you still end up with Seth with the belt over on SmackDown, whoever his challenger is going to be, and then Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar going into WrestleMania.
Now, if that scenario happens and Reigns drops the Universal title to Rollins, is it clean?
No, of course not. I mean, Rollins is still a dirty, whiny, slimy, Starscream wannabe heel. I mean, he's still as obnoxious as you can possibly get, although I did think the Shield knock was a very, very nice touch on SmackDown.
Yep. Yeah. See, there's possibilities here. Aaron, any thoughts here that you would like to add?
Well, as far as the women go, Ronda Rousey is a name I've been mentioning for a while. I either see her winning as a surprise or Bianca Belair wins. At this point, I really do not see anybody else winning that women's Rumble match. And we might get a few more surprises, and they'll fill it out with the rest of the women on the WWE roster. And as far as the men go, as far as surprises, see, if it's going to be anybody from another promotion, I think it's going to be somebody that is familiar to WWE fans, like a Chris Jericho. And Jericho has been a name that has been rumored because of his appearance on Broken Skull Sessions last year. People think, well, he did that. Maybe Tony Khan for one night will let him do the Royal Rumble. That would not shock me if Chris Jericho showed up. I really don't expect anybody else, though. I'm not expecting somebody like Moose because he has no connection to the WWE audience. I think it's unlikely that we see Moose. We might get a few more surprises, a few names from the past. I'd love to see Ken Shamrock in the Royal Rumble. I've been saying this for years now. I'd love to see him come back, go into the Hall of Fame. Never say never, right? He hasn't really done much in Impact lately, but he has been active in recent years. He would be the name that I would like to see most personally. But other than that, just a couple of your usual names that tend to show up for the Royal Rumble. A couple of past names might come back for one-off. Maybe even a few people that were released might come back for a one night.
Yeah, that would be the reach. But Braun Strowman, and I highly doubt the Bray or Fiend scenario because I think he might be jaded and I'm not coming back. But never say never. Mickie James is coming back after everything that happened there.
Well, one thing I don't think that has really been discussed a whole lot is we look at this insane list of free agents that's out there, especially with ROH kind of going underwater for right at the moment and talent that's just available left and right. With NXT going to this NIL 2.0 kind of format, if they are going to bring anybody in, who says they go through NXT? Could we see somebody like a Shane Taylor debut inside of the Royal Rumble?
That'd be nice. I've seen Shane Taylor wrestle a couple times at the pay-per-views I've been at.
And I wanted to mention Colin Andrews' comment. X-Pac, I think, is a really good possibility considering that he was just cleared to wrestle again. And then we did mention Corey Graves earlier. I fully suspect that Corey Graves will enter, kind of like Jerry Lawler in '97 when he was on the commentary desk and then he got up when the countdown went to 0 and then Bret Hart eliminated him right away. Hopefully that doesn't happen for poor Corey Graves. But yeah, I think he'll be in it. And there was a comment in the chat room. No, I do not want to see Steve Blackman in the Royal Rumble. And I do not want to see Bart Gunn in the Royal Rumble, even though we joked about him. Gable Steveson, Colin Andrew brought him up. Yeah, I would not rule that out for his first match. He comes out in the Royal Rumble, does a couple moves, and then maybe a bunch of people gang up on him and toss him out or something like that. What about Mr. Kennedy? He would be an interesting one from the past to come back.
I haven't heard. Oh, yeah, he was doing some stuff in NWA, right?
Yeah. And I saw, speaking of the NWA, I saw a comment about Nick Aldis, and I think that would be unlikely because, again, he has no association with WWE, and I don't think he would get much of a reaction if he showed up. I think it would be mostly crickets. I think if they're bringing in anybody from another promotion, it's going to be somebody who you could pretty much guarantee will get a big reaction from the fans. Mickie James has been on WWE TV not too long ago. People still remember her, and she's been a fixture of WWE on and off for many years. Walter Cruz sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Walter. Says, how do you guys think WWE would treat these open door entrants? Good showing or throw them right over? Well, I mentioned this before. If Mickie James lasts more than a minute in this Royal Rumble match, I consider that a win for her. Yeah. But I would not be shocked if she's in there and she's out before the next person comes out. Would not surprise me at all to see that happen.
And go ahead, Jargo.
I think the interesting one is Brie Bella. Like, how is Brie going to be treated with Brian over in AEW? That's the one I'm really intrigued by.
Will she do all the yes kicks just like Brian?
Or do they just have her get dumped in 15 seconds?
There's going to be that one quick, whether it's men or women, someone's going to go over quick. So, you know, that always happens. And, in terms of returns, we could see Bayley. We could see Asuka. We haven't seen her in a while. Beth Phoenix. So, I think they're more than covered. It's just, and the thing is, we always, heading into every Royal Rumble, we always name all these names we would like to see. And then it ends up being mostly people on the main roster or a couple NXTs, and there's just not really that much surprise element.
RVD.
And then we're just but when it's over, we're like, oh, okay, well, we hyped it up more than we should have.
Right.
Yeah. RVD might be a possibility.
I think one that is likely that I'm rather interested in is Walter.
Yeah.
I'd be very interested to see how they book him and where they slot him in.
Right.
What about Gargano?
Yeah. Well, I guess the Dynamite in Cleveland is coming up. If there's no Gargano at that Dynamite in Cleveland, then I would say, yeah, that's a possibility.
Right.
Ciampa, I could see being in it. Pete Dunne, I could see being in it. Maybe Braun Breaker. We'll have to wait and see.
I want to see Johnny Knoxville take a slap from Walter.
Ooh, I like that. They should do, if you guys remember what happened to Daniel Puder back in the 2005 Rumble when they all beat the shit out of him and just chopped him to death. I want to see that happen to Johnny Knoxville. I want to see them all just completely beat the shit out of the guy. That would make Johnny Knoxville's Rumble entrance worth it if he gets the absolute shit kicked out of him and they just stiff the hell out of him.
I just want Johnny Knoxville's entrance tron and music to just be, I'm Johnny Knoxville and welcome to Jackass.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And then just have Walter obliterate him. That would be fantastic.
Well, we'll move on here. I mean, we kind of already touched base on this, but one of our other topics, because, as the Royal Rumble gets closer, we're going to do predictions and everything. But Corey Graves is cleared to wrestle again. And, I was talking to Jargo about this on Vito's channel. With wrestlers, it just feels like you're never really retired unless you're in a wheelchair or you die. And at some point, so do we bring Paige's name into the conversation for Royal Rumble? And then what is everybody's thoughts with Graves? I mean, some people don't know if he should just you're losing a commentator if he comes back to wrestle full time, unless he sits at the announce booth and does kind of what Jerry Lawler does and gets in feuds here and there. Big G, what do you think here with this? And the reason why I brought Paige up, because you never say never.
Right. I mean, Paige, she hasn't wrestled in a long time. It's been 7 years, something like that too. It's been quite a while. And Corey Graves, I mean, the last time you saw him really wrestle was early NXT when he was a tag team with the now known Pac, aka Neville, and they had a feud. And I mean, you can go on Peacock and go back and watch him wrestle and stuff like that. And I mean, he was in the Indies too. You can go back and watch him wrestle in his indie stuff. But I mean, he's great on the commentary booth. I enjoy him a lot. He knows what he's doing. He's kind of a heel commentator, but not. And then you got Graves and Carmella. I mean, they could end up doing a mixed tag team match with somebody. But honestly, I think Graves should just stick as on the commentator booth. I mean, that's what he's been doing for the longest time now. I think he's really honed his skill in it. So, I mean, if he comes, like you said, Virtue, have him on the booth and then occasionally have a feud with somebody here and there, but not be a full-time wrestler.
I mean, that's
like you said, you're gonna lose somebody on the Raw. You're gonna lose him on the Raw announce team, and then who are you gonna have?
Samoa Joe. They have to bring him back again.
Oh, geez, poor guy.
And just because he was cleared to wrestle, we have to jump to speculation that he's gonna just be a wrestler again, that. You know what I mean? I don't know. Jargo, what do you think here?
I think he's a damn fool if he even thinks about going back into wrestling full time. I think he's a damn fool. He's way more over as a commentator than he ever was as a wrestler. And I'm not even sure that his in-ring style translates into what the 2022 pro wrestling fan is looking for. I feel more like his style would fit more in 1992 than it does in 2022. It's just very slow and very, very methodical, very brooding. And I just don't think that it really works. The Paige thing is interesting because I know that she's been wanting to get cleared for a very, very long time. I'm just not sure that it's necessarily good for her to be in that kind of an environment. I guess we'll kind of have to see, but I absolutely expect that Corey will probably do a Rumble appearance, although I don't think it'll be very long of one.
Yeah. Aaron, what do you think?
I think Big G nailed it with Corey Graves. I think we'll see him in the Rumble, and he'll probably do occasional matches. I guess we'll have to just wait and see what kind of reaction he gets and how people react to him getting in the ring. Most fans watching WWE are not familiar with any of Corey Graves' work. He was in NXT 7-8 years ago. He never competed on the main roster, and it might be interesting. It might work out for him, and it might not. It's hard to say, but I think we'll at least see him show up in the Rumble and kind of get a feel for it, see how he interacts with other wrestlers and see how the fans react to him, and then go from there. I think it could go either way. Maybe he gets this huge reaction. Maybe he does these really cool sequences with people, and there's a demand for Corey Graves, the wrestler. And yeah, they could replace him. He does a great job, but they could bring back Joe. They could switch things around. Hey, maybe Samoa Joe does a one-off.
If I were Joe, I wouldn't come back.
Dude, you ready for this? Jargo gave me a hard time about this, I think. This is so WWE. When they have things like this at their disposal, Corey Graves and Carmella versus The Miz and Maurice. Is that not, Aaron, is that not a WWE thing? I don't know how they get there and if and why, but that just screams filler content for WWE.
Who's the baby face in that program? Just out of curiosity.
I don't know, but you know, and again, maybe it'll just be like a Lawler thing, and he'll just kind of sit back, and maybe they can have some wrestler get in his face, and you know, the rinse and repeat stuff there. But
I think it's more likely that either Corey Graves eliminates Byron Saxton, or Byron Saxton eliminates Corey Graves, and they can continue their war at the commentary booth that nobody asked for or wanted.
There you go. We'll move on though, because we've kind of like talked about Corey Graves in both topics so far. Big G, I'm coming right back over to you because, you know, your hand's on your cheek. I don't want you to fall asleep.
No, I'm good.
I know you're waiting for that. I think that the Chiefs and Steelers game will be over after the first quarter, but you never know. You never know. But guess what? Orton and Riddle lost the Raw Tag Team Championship on Monday night by Orton getting pinned.
Right.
Beat, okay? Aaron, everybody, this screams what I want to happen. Remember I said I don't really want to talk about it because I don't want to jinx it. But what's the end game here now? Is this just going to lead to are they going to get a rematch and win it back? Are they going to break up and we all expect that WWE will just have Orton turn on Riddle because that's what Orton does when he gets pissed? Big G, they have something here if they choose to. And you could build a heel main eventer. And I'm not saying like for a long, long term. I don't know if Riddle will hold up or not.
Right.
Do they not have something right there for something different?
They do.
What do you think?
They do, but WWE will probably 95% chance won't do it. We've talked about it so many times on this show and on other shows. We all want to see Riddle turn into a heel. One that, you know, doesn't do the stupid, goofy stuff that he does now, and just be a badass MMA fighter in the ring and just do what he does best in the ring, you know. But I see them getting a rematch against Alpha Academy at the Royal Rumble or WrestleMania or something like that, because WWE does not have the tag teams. If you break up RK Bro, you're not going to have anybody on the Raw side anymore. I think you have like 2 or 3 tag teams on each brand. So I see them, you know, we all want to see Riddle turn on Orton. 2 scenarios that WWE is going to do. Number 1, like I said, they're going to keep him as RK Bro. Because, I mean, the fans like RK Bro. Their merch sells pretty good from what I've seen. And they don't have any tag teams. And 2, if they do, like I said, they're going to have Orton turn on Riddle and have a match at WrestleMania and have Riddle go over Orton.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did all that to have Orton go over Riddle either. I mean, that's just like just what they do.
It's so sad that, you know, we can come up with these ideas and like WWE doesn't, you know, I don't know. There's something there with Riddle. He has the potential.
Vince McMahon likes this guy for some reason.
He does.
Now, we're never really going to know how much he likes him unless Riddle moves up the card. And, you know, look at Shawn Michaels back with the Rockers. I mean, look at the Rockers. You wouldn't think that they would have ever split up. And, you know, they were both the goody good guys. And Shawn Michaels ended up that was huge. Right. Okay. Now, you know, WWE likes to go back and look at things that worked in the past, and even if it's never going to come close to that again with the next generation, Vince McMahon goes to the well, so we can maybe hold out that small percentage hope that Vince and Bruce went back, Bruce Pritchard, and they saw that barbershop, and we can do this with Riddle and Orton. So Jargo, any chance that this can happen the right way, even though it's WWE?
Yeah, I think there's a very good chance that this could happen the right way. Because I think if you want to elevate Matt Riddle up the card, you have to kind of reframe Matt Riddle. And the best way to do that is to have him turn heel on Randy Orton. And the other thing that does, I feel like this could be, I feel like things are getting accelerated because of the Drew McIntyre injury. When you look at the singles rosters on both sides at this point, SmackDown in particular really needs baby faces. So what can we do? Well, we've got RK Bro. We could split them up. You go ahead and blow that off maybe even a little bit sooner than we wanted to. One of the names that we talked about on that Roman Reigns and Okada show is Randy Orton. I feel like Randy Orton is one of the top 2-3 people inside of the company as far as where it comes to being over as a legacy star with the fans that even the casuals know. Randy Orton could be in for a big push because Drew McIntyre is out. I could easily see Riddle turns heel on Orton, takes Orton out, quote unquote. Orton's off TV for 4 to 6 weeks, and then he shows up opposite of Roman Reigns, and suddenly there's a legitimate challenger for Roman in the WWE Universal Championship. There's a lot of different ways that you could spin it, but right now they need single stars and they need them badly. It could be time to break RK Bro up just out of necessity.
Yeah, and I'd be for that. And again, to have the WrestleMania match with these two, if they're, after 2 nights, so you got to think there's room on the card for this. To me, Orton turning on Riddle and setting up a Mania feud, and Orton's back to that Viper heel that that's all we ever get of him for the most part, versus the same stoner Riddle. That's just going to be like, really? But if Riddle turned heel, and now you have an opportunity for Orton for once to maybe put somebody over on the big stage, you could get some main events out of Riddle going forward. And you have something now opposite of your Lesnar's and your Reigns's. And Riddle's a skinny dude, but guess what? They could play off that he's a legit fighter, once held the record for most strikes landed in a fight, which I know has since been broken. You can build Riddle up as a badass because of his shoot history.
I'm just worried that when they turn Riddle, they turn him into an annoying heel rather than a badass heel.
Right. Yeah. Like they'll do the whole Dean Ambrose thing where he becomes a comedy heel and the whole thing is ruined. I love the destination being Randy Orton versus a heel Matt Riddle. Riddle is frustrated over the tag title loss. He held up his end. Orton was the one that took the fall there. And by the way, I'm a little surprised, and maybe Jargo has something going with that comment, because I felt like Street Profits would have been a better choice at day one, and instead they went with Otis and Chad Gable. And nothing against those guys, but I feel like their title win was so sudden, and they were losing a lot of matches leading up to that. It just felt like if you were going to put the titles on them, there should have been more buildup with those guys just dominating through, the 3 or 4 teams on Monday Night Raw, but maybe winning some squash matches or just building them up a little bit, giving them some momentum. They just won it seemingly out of nowhere. But I hope the destination is Randy Orton versus a heel Matt Riddle, and Riddle wins. That would be how I would do it. Now, what they're actually going to do will probably be quite different. Would not shock me if Orton goes heel again. Would not shock me if they do the match and Orton goes over and Riddle goes down the card. Wouldn't shock me if they just keep the team going indefinitely. Nothing would really surprise me at this point. Actually, the thing that would probably surprise me the most is if they actually do what I think the most amount of us want to see, and that's Randy Orton putting over a heel Matt Riddle at WrestleMania. So we'll see what happens.
And Orton does strike me like he genuinely enjoys being around Matt Riddle. And I think that if beating Randy Orton is going to mean anything at this point, because let's face it, a lot of people have beaten Randy Orton. but he has been so protected over the course of this run with RK Bro that it feels like beating Orton means something again. Matt Riddle needs that win. Orton is not hurt at all in that loss.
Absolutely. And C.O. Spencer said nobody would take Riddle serious, in my opinion. Well, not necessarily. Remember, Kurt Angle was doing those skits with Steve Austin where he was wearing the little cowboy hat and singing with the guitar and everything. And 2003, they turned him into a badass. He was feuding with Brock Lesnar, and they can turn it around for Riddle. They definitely can, I think.
I mean, we'll see. Like, there's money matches I want. Like, if Riddle got pushed as a main eventer as a heel, I mean, you have with the real life things he said. You have him and Roman, right? And I know Roman would have to probably be more of a tweener or babyface. You have Goldberg Riddle, Lesnar Riddle, and Lashley Riddle. You get somebody different in the main event scene, and will WWE listen? I mean, heck, their future in their mind, as far as we're concerned, is your Braun Breakers and maybe your Gable Stevensons. But why not push somebody that you currently have that people know, that like Riddle, right in the spot that he's at, and like Orton's working with him? Use that to your advantage. So I don't know. I mean,
and Riddle has a legitimate fighting background.
Yeah, and again, you make him serious, some people are going to buy it, and it's going to be different. It's going to be like, even to a casual fan, they're going to look at how he acted with Orton, and all of a sudden, this guy does all this, and now he's shooting from the hip. Like,
and the other thing is too, if you're going to do it with Matt Riddle, you need to do it. Riddle's already 35. I mean, we're not talking about some 28-year-old kid here. Like, if you're going to make money with Matt Riddle, you need to do it now.
Better get off the can.
Yep. All right. So we always are looking for new main eventers. I mean, we know what happened with Roman. It changed plans. Like, again, we don't know for sure Roman was going to drop the Universal title to Lesnar. All we know is what's in front of us. Brock Lesnar became the WWE champion. I don't even care who was supposed to be the champion after that match. Brock Lesnar is the WWE champion. Roman's the Universal champion, and he's back. So we were talking about who's Roman going to face. Like, if they do this program and Lesnar's fighting Lashley and they're going to wait for, the Lesnar Reigns thing again, what's going to fill the time for Roman? And here's Seth, a Raw superstar now, all of a sudden getting Universal title shot. And it's good because of their history. And they're going to have good match. The match is going to be solid. But Big G, this is like very, very interesting, because what do they do here? And we don't have to like do predictions yet, but you have your top two guys as the champion. Okay. Everybody's in their mind like title versus title, right? For WrestleMania. Right. But how can you do that?
Right.
When you have a Royal Rumble match where the winner gets a shot, like you're going to have a triple threat all of a sudden with those two, Lesnar and Reigns, that have built that feud up with Heyman involved, and throwing somebody else in there. So you're likely to split one of those titles. And is it more likely that Rollins takes the Universal title from Reigns, or Lashley takes it from Lesnar? But you got to protect. So, like, what's going on here? And I don't mind the two Shield guys going against each other.
I don't either.
They had to do it. They had no choice.
I really don't think they ever had a one-on-one match. I might be mistaken. They might have.
I think they did in 2016.
Okay, so it's been a couple years, and Seth weaseled his way into another championship match, this time for the Universal Championship. And it was, Jargo, hit on it earlier. It was pretty cool that he did like the Shield theme song on the door. He knocked, and I was like, at first I didn't, recognize it, but then like I went back and I listened to it. I was like, okay, I know what it is now. And, Roman seeing Seth was like, Roman said he literally smashed everybody. It's been and Seth Rollins is not on that list in Roman's Universal reign, 500-day Universal reign.
Which no matter what now will be past Brock Lesnar's.
Exactly. And, we lost Drew McIntyre. I figured it would have been McIntyre versus Reigns at the Royal Rumble.
Remember, we still got Goldberg has another match or something like that too. So that's
yeah,
why I was a little
Goldberg.
bit like, and
I mean,
Saudi Arabia is still coming
yeah,
up.
and
But
Saudi, you got Crown Jewel or whatever, Blood Money 2005 with the Elimination Chamber now apparently. So
that'll
crazy.
be like the tag belts will be in that or
Oh
something.
my
It'll
God.
be
Wait. So they're gonna put a Jewish man in something called the Elimination Chamber in Saudi Arabia?
why? I mean, that's
Really?
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
But
Well,
anyway,
Goldberg was in the chamber match in 2003.
Not in Saudi Arabia.
True.
But anyways,
Mm-mm.
it's something refreshing, I guess. He's beaten Finn Balor already, like I said, Demon Finn. He's beaten Roman Reigns has pretty much beaten everybody on SmackDown. And the only other person I could think of that's main event status is Seth Rollins. He's held the Universal title before. Now, will they make the question is, are they going to turn Seth Rollins, a baby face or a tweener, or are they going to do that with Roman Reigns?
It's weird, Big G.
That's the
Like
big
it
question.
was like they put Rollins in that spot, right?
Right.
And he's a heel, so and Reigns, right? He's a heel, but is he a tweener? Where is he leaning
Right.
towards babyface again? I'm surprised they didn't do like AJ Styles, like just for
Right.
like a Royal Rumble filler. I mean, AJ
Right.
debuted at the Royal Rumble.
Right.
I thought that people would have maybe been like, "Oh, cool," but they decided to go with Rollins. I get it, but could there have been anybody else? I mean, if they brought one guy over, they could have brought anybody.
Yeah,
over.
I mean, AJ Styles is not a bad choice. I mean, yeah, AJ Styles is doing his little feud with that Grayson Waller guy on NXT. And
Well,
That's over
yeah.
with now.
oh, it's over with? Okay. But yeah, AJ Styles is a good choice. I mean, you could have, what? Big E would have made a good choice too. He just lost his WWE title, and you got the New Day on SmackDown.
But he
They've
would have
been
lost
feuding with
again.
Wyatt. Huh?
He would have lost again.
Okay, but I mean, it's the Royal Rumble match. It would have
Yeah,
been
it's
a
higher
one-off.
profile. It's not good.
Yeah. So I mean, them going with Seth Rollins, I guess last minute is not a bad idea.
All right, so Jargo, your whole scenario here, where Seth can find a way to win it. Roman would be protected, but then Roman's angry and he has to win the Royal Rumble. And I'm not opposed. I'm not like, if that happened, great, another Royal Rumble win for Roman when he's more over than he was last time. Man, I'm telling you, they were thin. You called it, and here's Rollins over on SmackDown now.
Yeah, I was going to say, somebody on this show last week made a comment about how, they can always just pivot to Seth Rollins. And I'm sorry that I put that out into existence. DQ Galaxy. I feel like this one's on me. I think that works though. If you want to buy into what is being said behind the scenes, Seth was originally supposed to win that fatal 4-way at day one. So you would have had Roman on one show with the title, and you would have had Brock Lesnar going after him, and then you would have had Seth on the other show with the title. So now we just flip the shows rather than flipping the talent, right? So I mean, it would make sense that Seth would end up somehow winning the Universal Championship. He is still a dirty slimeball heel, so we can cheat his way into doing that. I am a little surprised that it's been that long since we've seen Seth versus Roman, but yeah, I guess it does make sense. I guess my question is, Seth like Teflon at this point? Like, I feel like Seth Rollins really, really needs a win here, and Roman can get screwed out of the championship, and it actually adds something to the Roman character who's getting kind of stale. But like, can Seth even absorb this loss? Like, Seth needs the win at this point. I feel like Rollins takes all kinds of losses.
That's true. My gut still says like Roman's coming out of this champion and he's not losing, and he was never going to lose to Brock. And I don't care what dirt sheets say, but yes.
You're saying dirt sheets lie?
Dude, come on, man. What's their accuracy here? And of course, they always spin it because plans change.
Yeah,
so like they can say what they think.
Change.
But like Lashley, Lesnar, right? You think, Lesnar, how is he going to lose? But he'll probably retain. But somebody's got to lose their title. So now you got two title matches at the Royal Rumble where if both of them continue to be champion afterwards, going into Monday on Raw and Friday on SmackDown, you're going to have them still the champ, Reigns and Lesnar, and a winner of the Royal Rumble. That could be interesting. Could be. Most likely one of Lesnar or Reigns is going to lose the title. Who? How? That's interesting. So we got Royal Rumble is actually interesting because of this, because there are variables. Would everybody agree with that? More than normal. More than normal.
I think the biggest variable is how do they get out of Lesnar versus Lashley? Because people have wanted that match for so long that if you don't do a clean finish, people are going to be upset by it. But if you do a clean finish, it's going to hurt Lashley one way or the other.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. And again, this is going to be a whole nother discussion for after the Rumble, because we can speculate all we want on how it's going to happen. And we may come back and have this discussion afterwards and be like, yep, that's how it happened. But it may be something different will happen. Aaron, what do you want to add to this? And I think a super chat came.
Yeah, Walter Cruz sent in a nice $10 super chat. Thank you for that, Walter. Much appreciated. He says, maybe both have to retain their title. If Lesnar loses to Lashley, then him getting the title shot against Reigns looks weaker. If Reigns loses to Rollins, then what will the feud be for? Over Heyman? Well, everyone seems to think it's going to be somebody gets screwed out of their title and then the other one bounces back and wins the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
I could also see both champs retaining at the Royal Rumble. I think it's more likely Reigns gets screwed than Lesnar. I feel like Lashley's not going to beat Brock Lesnar, even though I would like to see it happen personally. I sense that's not going to happen. And
what if we go to Swerve City, right? Like, what if you have Rollins take the title from Reigns, you have Lashley take the title from Lesnar, and somebody else wins the Royal Rumble, and the story is, what are Reigns and Lesnar doing on the way to WrestleMania? At least that would intrigue me. I'd tune in to see that. Like, what the hell's going to happen now?
I agree. I'll tell you what, that would I think would keep people more interested in watching the shows to see what's going to happen. And yeah, like you said, Virtue, this is a more interesting Royal Rumble premium live event because we don't know what direction they're going in for sure.
Even the women's, could you imagine at the end of the night if Rollins is the Universal Champion, Reigns wins the Men's Royal Rumble, Rousey comes back and wins? That's going to be a news day for you, don't you think?
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how they get to the destination. I still think the destination is Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. It's just how do they get there now, and what are they going to do? I think Seth Rollins was added to this match with Roman Reigns because you had the whole situation with Roman testing positive for COVID, and then Drew McIntyre being out of action. They needed somebody over there, and Seth Rollins, he has history with Roman Reigns. People have been wanting to see that match for a long time now. Ever since Roman turned heel, people have been wanting to see Roman versus the heel Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. And
so are we led to believe that then whoever wins Elimination Chamber will challenge for the other championship?
I mean, that's how it used to be years ago.
Yeah, when they first did it, like at No Way Out, like Triple H had won it.
Remember, though, we don't know how that Elimination Chamber is going to be used at Saudi Arabia, and that could just be the champion defending it in there, right? And not for any shot, but the champion is in that match having to defend.
Right.
Like we don't know yet.
Or it could be Goldberg's Jamal Khashoggi moment.
Yeah. So, Jargo, let me ask you this then with the Rollins and Reigns thing. There's no way Rollins isn't anywhere close to a babyface right now with the way he acts and dresses, over the top heel. And I know Reigns, you've called him a tweener, he should be more of a tweener, badass, because people, more freedom and stuff like that, mafia, mob boss. I keep suggesting that they might pull the trigger sooner rather than later now that because Heyman's gone from him. And if that Heyman thing is not a swerve, and they're obviously keeping that thought alive because remember he was like my tribal chief and his lip was quivering, and then Brock looked at him like, what's going on? Right. But could this be Vince's transition to Roman back to babyface, because that's what he always wanted Roman to be over as? And Roman's been more over as a heel, if we call him that, than he ever was as a babyface in terms of the fans. So could this Seth thing, more than just filler, be Roman? Could Roman be turning face here because Vince McMahon's vision was always that Cena 2.0?
I mean, anything is possible when it comes to Roman Reigns.
He's and the merch is moving too.
Well, when you have, 7 different Roman Reigns shirts and nothing for anybody else on the roster, it makes a little bit of a difference.
Day shit.
Well, yeah, there is New Day shit. There is that. It's interesting. The Roman Reigns babyface turn, it just doesn't seem like it's time for it yet for me. Like, I feel like this character needs to go through a couple more evolutions before we finally get to the babyface turn again. At this point, Roman Reigns is building respect amongst the fans. Like, I feel like the character, the head of the table, the tribal chief, I feel like the character is still feared inside of the narrative, but the people that are watching the narrative are gaining respect for the performer, which is the first step to the babyface turn. But I do feel like it's too soon, but I could see, like, if we do end up somehow doing the Paul Heyman on a pole match at WrestleMania, and it is Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, and you have a babyface Brock Lesnar going in against a heel Roman Reigns, it does seem like an opportune time to pull a double turn come WrestleMania. But I'm not sure that I would want to pull the trigger necessarily before that. The one thing that it does kind of lead me down that path, though, is Roman Reigns sticking up for Paul Heyman on SmackDown. That was kind of weird.
My gut still says, like, this is a swerve with Heyman, but, of course, everything got sidetracked a little bit because of Roman testing positive, but we'll see what kind of, web they weave. I don't know, gentlemen, but at least we can kind of have more speculation of what could happen instead of easy predictions that are boring, and that's what ends up happening. So maybe this is all for the better. Hey, I'm looking at the time here. This is great. Like, if the NoDQ Galaxy could actually get me off the hook and we can have under an hour show, and this all depends on how After Dark goes. Anybody else want to add anything? Because, I mean, we're through our topics this week.
I'm good. I mean,
we got through without any AEW. AEW was uneventful this week. Oh, here come the super chats now.
Well, I feel like that is the big story for AEW, that AEW was so uneventful this week and that there's not really anything to talk about. So most weeks we come out and we're like, oh my God, what do you talk about first? They did so much on the show. What was the big takeaway from this week's show?
Jargo, I wanted to ask you, what did you think about the whole CM Punk Wardlow match with the 8 power bombs, and they did the Bret Hart Diesel finish there at the end with the small package?
Very, very weird to me.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, what part of the story are you trying to advance here? Because at this point, it feels like the better story and the more interesting story is Wardlow and MJF, and Punk is just kind of there.
Right.
That's what I'm getting at. That's what I felt like last night. Like, yeah.
Yeah, there's more focus on that now, and the focus is kind of moving away from
Wardlow does turn heel or babyface, sorry, it'll end up being in Cleveland, where he's from.
Wardlow's stock keeps going up and up every week. I'm really, really liking that guy.
Think WWE snatches him down the road at some point?
I think more so than any other performer on the AEW roster, he fits the Vince McMahon profile.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, let's see. Let's just see. You know how it goes. We're going to go around the horn, do our plugs. Aaron will slow it up even more when it gets to his turn, and we'll see if we can get through this without a big After Dark, and I can go and enjoy the rest of my evening. Shout out to Colin Andrew, of course, the Cleaver, Jerry Slaughter, Steve-O, Jeff Meacham, anybody that's also been on the review that's not on this evening. Big G.
Yes.
Go ahead, and your prediction for your Steelers against the Chiefs as well.
It'll be a close game. I'm not going to predict the winner. I'm just going to sit back, try to enjoy the game. Anyways, you can follow me at nodq.com/bigbiology. That'll take you to my Twitter page. And if you happen to have TikTok, if you don't. Anyways, you can follow me there at bigbiology1988. And you can see some of my cat videos over on that channel. So that is it for me.
You do TikTok with your cats also?
I do. I did one with Joker. We were playing Mario Party Superstars, and he was all up on the TV going after Yoshi.
Oh, poor Yoshi.
Look at that. And you recorded it?
I did.
You might get copyright from Nintendo, though. You got to be careful posting those videos online. I'm just saying, I don't know. Maybe they don't know about TikTok. Okay, Jargo, over to you. I think we're going to get out of here. Yeah.
I'm still stuck on the Jew in the elimination chamber in Saudi Arabia, man. Like, that's just baffling to me. You can keep up with me across social media platforms at NotJargo, MichaelJargo.com, DestinoPod.com for your latest in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I will take the Chiefs by 17 points. Thanks for coming, Steelers.
Woo.
But
you know what?
Is over.
Keep on dogging us. Keep
at
on
the end of the
dogging
first
us.
quarter, they'll be up 17. Yeah. All right, Aaron Rift. I think we're just so you know, NoDQ Galaxy. I love 50-minute shows. Like we've had some over, and we haven't had any for a while. So like, thanks for giving back to me finally.
Yeah.
And last week was like an hour and a half. So you guys rock, Aaron Rift.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and say that Big G's team wins just to give him something. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Aaron. I appreciate
something to feel motivated about. I'm gonna throw some positive energy towards the Pittsburgh Steelers, even though I have no idea how they play or anything. I'm just gonna say they'll win their game. How about that? And I like that Razor Ramon hoodie, by the way.
That is pretty dope.
What about your plugs, Aaron? I mean, you got, NoDQ.com/merch.
Yes.
Yeah, we got the new Say Yes to No DQ t-shirt over at NoDQ.com/merch. Use the code Rumble, by the way, to get 20% off your entire order. We still got to get a Jargo shirt made. So we'll be working on some more stuff here coming soon. And yeah, that's all I got. Stay tuned for the latest. We got a lot to talk about as we get closer to Royal Rumble and WrestleMania season, I'm sure.
All right. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_virtue. I got the I'm sorry shirt over there on NoDQ.com/merch. There's still the Troll Slayer shirt up. That's like vintage retro now. And that's all I really got. And I appreciate the Galaxy getting me off the hook tonight. And, sometimes, it's good to skip a week or whatever, but we're always here for you loyalists to watch the review each and every week. And I think we got a debate coming up at some point this year between Colin Andrew and myself. We're going to come up with some topics. So the great NoDQ debate will be back. We're going to post a video of Jargo and I talking about Roman Reigns and Okada globally, who's more over. And it's just him and I one-on-one, not really a debate, no moderator. But maybe that could be a gauge if you would like to see Jargo and I do a great NoDQ debate also at some point this year. But that's all I got for Big Baller G, who's just happy to be here. For Dr. Jargo, the biggest fan in the NoDQ Galaxy of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And for the boss, Aaron Rift, I am Virtue. Thank you for listening, watching. And you know what? We'll do this again next time.